Ross Lindsay.
98FM weather.
A bright and sunny start to the day. Cloud and showers coming our way later. It's 12 degrees. 98FM's Big Breakfast with Cooper and Luke. Back tomorrow morning from 6. Only on 98FM.
The following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. 98FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Top of the morning to you. Very good morning. It is 98FM's Dublin Talks on this beautiful Tuesday morning in May, the 21st of May 2019. I hope you're all in good form. Hope you're having a nice Tuesday so far. Make sure you keep it here on 98FM for the next 2 hours. Well, preferably for the whole day. Don't go anywhere. It's a great radio station, but for the next 2 hours, it's just yourself and myself at 98FM's Dublin Talks. If you're like myself, by the way, and you are prone to hay fever, today is not a good day. Woke up this morning and the eyes are actually... Jamie, how are you? Our Jamie works on the show, has very bad hay fever as well. Are you okay today, Jamie, with your hay fever? I woke up this morning and my eyes were runny and my nose was runny, and I got the injection a couple of weeks ago to get rid of the hay fever, but it's not helping the situation. So if you do suffer with hay fever, you have my condolences. I'm with you. I'm in the same boat. So if I sound a bit blocked up, that is the reason. Now, the ways to contact us on Dublin Talks, there are many, many ways for you to contact us. Text 087 798 98 98. That is the text or WhatsApp number. You can also send a WhatsApp voice note to that same number, 087 798 98 98. You can call us on 6797 981. You can tweet us. You can follow us on Twitter, 98FM's Dublin Talks. So many ways to contact us. And what are we going to be talking about this morning on the show? Well, during the first hour of the show, we have a lot of stuff to whet your appetite, including in a few minutes I'll be talking to a local election candidate who was attacked in Santry over the weekend. And one of the shocking aspects of this attack, well, there's several shocking aspects of this attack, but one of the shocking aspects of this attack is the Garda response time and how long it took the Gardaí to arrive at the scene. And that's what I want to try and find out from you as well this morning about Garda response times, and if you've ever called them, how long did it take them to arrive? In about half an hour's time, 20 minutes, we'll be talking to a listener by the name of Liam. Now, what's Liam's issue? Well, Liam has been to 4 weddings in the last year. 4 weddings and a funeral. No, just 4 weddings in the last year. And he says that every wedding he has been to has been, wait for it, ruined by children, by child guests. I don't know what his issue... Well, we'll find out what his issue is, but he basically doesn't like children at weddings. He thinks they've no place at a wedding and that they can ruin the whole event. And a lot of people, I'm sure, will be very upset with Liam's comments. Also, in about 45 minutes' time, just before 11 o'clock, of course, it's the big study out today which found that almost 1/5 of Irish people are hazardous binge drinkers. You probably don't even realise you are a binge drinker, or that you are drinking in a hazardous way. We'll be finding out just how bad the drinking culture is in Ireland. Well, I think we know. Well, do we know? I think a lot of us have our heads in the sand when it comes to, to the drinking culture. And, we don't realise that we actually have a problem. But we'll be delving into that just before 11 o'clock. All that and lots more besides. It's 98FM's Dublin Talks.
98FM's Dublin Talks.
Now, I want to start off the show this morning. First of all, I want to ask you a question. Did you ever call the Gardaí to report a crime? Did you ever have to call the Gardaí to report a crime? No matter what the crime was, maybe your house was broken into, maybe you were a victim of assault, whatever the case may be. Did you ever ring 999? If so, how long were you waiting for the Gardaí to arrive? I want to do a kind of a straw poll here, and I want you to text me or WhatsApp on 087 798 98 98. 087 798 98 98. Text or WhatsApp me now. Here's the question. If you did in the past ring the Gardaí for anything, How was the response time? How long was it? If you remember back about 6 months ago on the show, we were talking to a woman from Ballymun, an elderly woman from Ballymun, and her house had been broken into. And I remember this call vividly because I was so shocked by it. And we were talking to her daughter on the phone, and her house was broken into. She called the guards, and the guards hadn't arrived a day later. And I thought to myself, my God, this is crazy. So if you ever have called the guards to deal with a problem or to deal with something that happened in your house or in your life or whatever, how long did it take for them to arrive? Text or WhatsApp us now, 087 798 98 98. 087 798 98 98. I'd be interested to find out how bad the Garda response times were for you. Now, in a second, I'm going to be talking to a Fianna Fáil candidate who was taking part in a community clean-up in Santry over the weekend and was assaulted. It's the headlines in the paper today. Election hopeful beaten by thugs. And you see a photograph there of Rachel Batten, and her arm is in a sling following the attack that took place in Santry. Here's what she posted on social media. For the second time during this election campaign, I have been physically attacked by young men. This time while out tidying up the area with the Oak Park Environmental Group. 2 motorbikes, mini motorbikes, broke the traffic lights at the entrance to Oak Park, and when one of the ladies in her group turned and pointed to the 2 men on the bikes, what happened next was simply shocking. So I want to hear from you, because she is going to explain as well how long it took for the Gardaí to arrive, and that is one of the many shocking aspects to this story. So I want to hear from you. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. What was the Garda response time when you called them? Now, Rachel joins us on the line. You're very welcome along to 98FM, Rachel.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Reading the headlines in the Herald today, quite shocking what happened to you on Sunday. Talk me through the events that led up to that, please.
Yeah, well, look, it was shocking. Myself and another lady were doing the cleaning on the edge of the estate there when 2 lads came speeding by on mini squad bikes. They'd broken the red light, and the lady beside me turned around and said to me, pointed at them saying, they've after breaking the red light, this is happening all the time. And with that, it seemed to be that one of the fellas on the squad bikes seemed to have got distracted and drove into a back of another car and fell off it. We thought that was it. He was getting back up, and we kind of thought nothing of it, continued on, and within a few minutes the 2 squad bikes came speeding back. Then one of the lads got off the scrambler bike and started screaming and shouting at us, and proceeded to pick up a brush that was on the floor there where we were cleaning up, and went to run and attack the lady that was with me. I tried to grab the brush off him, and he proceeded to try and push me aside and hit me with the brush. As a result of a broken wrist, and as he got me aside, he continued on to run after the other lady that was with me. Thankfully, the gentleman stopped his car and came over, and once he saw the man, he proceeded to get on. He threw the brush at the other lady that was with me and got on to the scrambler bike and speeded off.
So what age were these men on the scrambler bikes? Because we've dealt with this on the show a lot of times about kids on scrambler bikes, terrorising neighbourhoods. What age were these gentlemen, to the best of your knowledge?
Well, they had what I could only describe as Mad Max masks on them, so it was difficult to tell, but certainly from their size and, from them screaming at us, that they would appear to be teens, late teens, in my own view, but like that they did have masks on, so it's very hard to give that guide, but certainly I would have thought they were in their late teens, maybe early 20s at most, but I think it's unlikely.
That seems a bit sinister that they were wearing masks as well, Mad Max masks.
Yes, exactly. It's really, it was really quite shocking, and the mask looked dangerous enough, like as in regards a visual impact, obviously, going around not looking to be identified. It's quite shocking, and what's more so is that, look, we called the guards. There was somebody there that called 999. This incident lasted for about five or so, maybe 10 minutes between the time that they spun round and broke the traffic lights there at the Santry Junction. and there was no guards. An hour and a half later, we rang them back and they told us that, look, if we wanted to make a statement, we'd have to go down to the station. That just wasn't any cars available in the Santry area that day. So
sorry, just to reiterate, you're involved in this incident where you end up with a broken wrist. Now, you obviously didn't know at the time that your wrist had been broken.
No, it was the following day. Yeah. Look, I went to the hospital the following day. As I thought at the time, there was a bit of bruising, but I woke up in the morning going, no, there's a bit more pain than that. I'll have it checked out.
But after ringing the guards after what was a fairly serious assault in a public place in Santry involving these two men, you ring the Gardaí and an hour and a half later, nothing.
Nothing, no. And that's the shocking part about it is that there was a gentleman who lived in the estate that came, after we were waiting around for a good hour, in the green for the guards, and we decided, look, we'll go wait in the lady's house. A gentleman came across who lived in the estate going, oh, look, I've just been up the other side of the road. There's two crazy lads spinning out the traffic in these small scrambler bikes, and it just so happened we knew the colour of them. I was like, oh, it was the exact same colour. They had the mask on. It was very, very likely that it was still the same two lads, and that was 20 minutes, half an hour later. So, look, they still were within the vicinity that they certainly could have been some action taken. And that's, look, I went down to the guards were very apologetic and just said, look, there was no resources. He said he didn't have anybody that he could send out. And that's an issue in Santry Garda Station the whole time, that these lads are going to be able to continue on doing things like this if there's no repercussions. Now,
of course, because there's no regulation on scrambler bikes, and again, this is an issue that has come up over and over again, there's probably no way of tracing them, because I would imagine there wasn't any registration plate on the scramblers.
No.
So
there's no registration, obviously there's no licence or insurance or anything, and that's the other thing, is these are very dangerous, and like I said, they did drive into some man's car now, and that no follow-up of that either. So, and God knows what kind of road chaos they were carrying on after they left ourselves on Sunday afternoon.
Now, you've been on the campaign trail a lot. You've been going around different housing estates around there. Have you ever witnessed anything like this, or has anything like this ever happened to you before?
Absolutely not. Look, it's not something that's happened. It's not something I would see in the area. We do, and it's certainly the number one issue is coming up in the doors is the lack of guards. We've certainly had a stream of break-ins in the Santry Beaumont area, and no Garda resources coming. Certainly there was an event where there's 3 or 4 houses in a row broken into, and obviously the intruders had time to break into those houses 3 or 4 in a row on the same road without any Garda intervention.
Because
a real issue.
Yeah, because they probably know, like these two young fellas on the scrambler know that the response time from Garda Síochána is quite slow at the moment. So
yeah.
The fact that this happened to you, and I believe, was this witnessed by school children as well? Did children witness it?
Well, they were very young children. We were doing a community clean-up. Thankfully, they were on the other side of the gate, but certainly they did witness it, and they were very small. Look, very scary incident for them.
Finally, Rachel, I see the photograph of your hand in the sling. How are you feeling? You're obviously still quite shaken by it, but how are you feeling? How's the hand?
It's a bit sore, but look, it'll be okay. Look, my kind of focus is, look, we really, really need to do something about the resources of guards in the area. It's just not acceptable to turn around and say there's 4 guards covering the whole Santry area on a singular day. Like, the area is huge.
Rachel Batten, thanks very much for joining us on 98FM's Dublin Talks.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Now, huge response coming in on this. What happened to Rachel? I mean, it's quite shocking. There's 2 aspects of it that are shocking. That 2 young fellas on scrambler bikes attacked both these women with brush handles, which is absolutely madness. But also the Garda response time, and I mentioned it before the interview, and well, my God, there's a huge reaction to it already. I think we've sort of hit on something here. I'd like to hear from you. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. Or you can call us on 6797 981. 6797 981. We're talking about the Garda response time, and as you heard from Rachel's story, she rang the guards to report this serious assault, and they didn't have anybody that was able to come. Now, what annoys me about this is that I live not too far away from the British Ambassador's house, which is in Leopardstown. And as you may or may not know, the last couple of days, Prince Charles and his wife Camilla have been in town. And the amount of guards that have been stationed outside the British Ambassador's house is absolute madness. I was driving home yesterday evening and I counted about 15 uniformed Gardaí outside the Ambassador's residence because Prince Charles and Camilla were here. So the point I'm trying to make is the guards are there when we need them. They're there for certain things. So if we can get 15 to 20 guards to stand outside the Ambassador's house because Prince Charles is there, why can't we get just 2 members of An Garda Síochána to help this woman who was being assaulted by these 2 young men? It doesn't make sense to me. I rang the other day and they never arrived. It's happened a few times, says this person. I've tried to ring the Gardaí on several occasions when houses in the area have been broken into, but they never turn up. Now, I had a lad crossing my back wall shouting at me to let him through. I called the guards. I'm still waiting 7 years, says Lisa. I'd like to hear from you. Text or WhatsApp us. 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Or call us on 6797 981. 6797 981. This is your opportunity to tell us how bad the Garda response times are. And I have a long text message here that I'm going to read you after the break. That is, it's quite shocking that this is happening in this day and age. But I would like to hear from you. Garda response times, how bad have they been for you?
98FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less. 98FM.
Good morning, it's 98FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here for a Tuesday morning. We were speaking there a few minutes ago before the break to a local politician, Rachel Batten, who was out on Sunday in Santry and was assaulted by 2 young men on scrambler bikes. Called the guards. Guards said they didn't have anybody to come to the scene, which I find hard to believe that they just didn't have the resources. And we're trying to find out what guard response times have been like for you. And there's a huge response to this. Keep the messages and texts coming in. Text or WhatsApp us 087 798 98 98, or better still, call us on 6797 981. David, how are you?
Not too bad.
Grant, your daughter's house was broken into, is that right?
It was indeed, yes. Now, I was just saying to the girl that answered the phone there, they stole the boyfriend's car. 3 days later, the daughter was sitting at a major junction just outside Clondalkin, and there she spotted the boyfriend's car with a police car sitting behind it.
Okay, so hang on a second. Did they got the keys from your daughter's house? Is that how they got the car?
Yes, they broke into the house and took the keys out of the sitting room.
Okay, so this is the new thing that they do. They break into the house. There's probably very little that they can take from houses nowadays. So they take the car keys and they rob the car. So they stole the car, and fast forward, 3 days later? 3 days later,
the daughter was sitting at the junction in Clondalkin at Grange Castle there, and she spotted the car over to her left coming from Lucan direction, with a squad car sitting behind it. So she rang the police station in Clondalkin, explained the situation, and they still got away. Now, the car was recovered later when they ran the checkpoint, and the car was parked up at somewhere up around there by Liffey Valley, parked up and locked, but he still got away, even though they had the helicopter out and the whole lot. But regarding the response time coming up to the house, I think it was late that evening when they came up.
So what time did the call go through to the guards at?
I went through that morning when they discovered the car was gone at, I think, 7:30.
Okay, so
it was about 3:30 when they came up.
So call made at 7:30 to say our house has been broken into, the car keys have been robbed, the car is stolen, and you're saying it was 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
It would, yeah, it would have been that, yeah.
So I'm just trying to work 7 to 4, that's about 8 hours. The guts of 8 hours for them to arrive. And when they did arrive, were there apologies made? Did they say, listen, I'm sorry? I mean, you ring anybody else. You ring a Chinese takeaway, for God's sake, and they don't arrive within an hour. When they do arrive, they will apologise to you and they'll say, listen, I'm sorry, the traffic was heavy or we're very busy tonight. Did the guards say anything when they arrived?
They're just an explanation, yeah, that they're busy and that there's been a series of break-ins in the area, and, our hands are tied at the moment. That was it.
So our hands are tied?
Yeah.
Was the answer?
Now, the car is actually still impounded because it's still waiting to be forensically tested. And that's over 2 weeks now.
So it's a long process.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And when the guards came to the house, how long did they spend with you?
Roughly 15, 20 minutes.
That was it, 15, 20 minutes.
That was it. Just took a statement and was on CCTV footage of, getting in. And basically a fingerprint crowd come up after that. And that was it.
Okay, thanks very much for that, David. So rang them at 7:30. They didn't arrive until 3:30. I'd like to hear from you. Call us 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. This just isn't in Dublin, says this person. It's further down the country too. We have panic alarms in work. I hit one the other day when we were almost robbed, and they never arrived. I was terrified locking up the shop. The funny thing is, they're constantly across from the shop stopping drivers for tax and insurance. So these are these alarms that you have if you work in a shop, where if you think the shop has been broken into, that you press the alarm. It seems bizarre that you would press a panic alarm and they still wouldn't turn up. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note.
Hi guys, about 11 years ago I rang the guards on my dad, and it was a violence domestic abuse case, and I was 11, 12. And I had to ring because I was only myself that could speak English. And the guards arrived 45 minutes later. We had to flee the house in the middle of the night. We only came back after they came 45 minutes later, and they gave my dad a slap on the wrist. That was it. They went, and the cycle continued. So, nothing really changed, I suppose.
Yeah, that's all too common as well. The local superintendent has serious questions to answer. Why is it okay to tolerate gangs who are terrorising communities? It's absolutely disgraceful, says that texter. The Gardaí never showed up when my next door neighbour was robbed a few years ago in the middle of the day. The Gardaí are clearly getting paid too much money for doing nothing, says Anthony. I don't think that's true, Anthony. The Gardaí aren't well paid. They get paid an average salary for a very difficult job, and I don't want this to be a Garda bashing issue. Hi Jeremy, I can't talk, says this person, but quick point, why can't we pay the army right and let them take over from the guards? Because what the army do towards the guards is miles in the different. No, we don't want to be in a situation, to that texter, where we have army on the streets, and where if you ring 999 to say that your house has been broken into, that the army arrive. No, that's absolutely crazy. We don't need army on the streets. Let me go to Darren. How are you, Darren?
Hello, how are you?
Grand. What would you like to say about this?
I'm just sat there listening to you, the topic, and I'll be honest with you, it is boiling my blood. As I was just saying to the lady that took my call, really and truly, we're a very small island, and when crime happens, to think that the state and the police force itself tells you there's nothing they can do, and come out with a bunch of excuses, it's not acceptable. We are a very small island. We have no excuse for any known scumbag in this country.
Well, sorry, we're a very small island with a very high crime rate as well per capita. We've a lot of toe rags in this city and in this country, Darren.
Yeah, because it's tolerated. I always said it, every scumbag known to the state, and it won't happen, and this is what's so lily-livered here in Ireland. Every dirty scumbag should be rounded up, exterminated by the state. We should have a brand new police force and a brand new law system, because there's an age-old saying, if you keep tolerating your problems, you've got them. It's like if you have a rat infestation in your home, you're going to call an exterminator to get the problem done. It's the only way you deal with this crime. There's no point in the guards catching them guys. Oh yeah, we know them, we arrested them 10 times in the last month, daddy wasn't there, Mammy is out doing this and that. There's too many excuses made for these scumbags out on the street. Way too much.
So what you think is, regarding these, and we don't know who these young fellas are that were on the scrambler bikes that attacked these women, the chances of them being caught are fairly slim, and if they do get caught, it'll be a revolving door system. And for those of you who've never been to the courts, let me just tell you this very briefly, this story, because this will really annoy you. You don't realise how much of a revolving door system we have in this country until you spend the day in the courts. Now, over the last couple of years, I've been in the courts quite a bit, and going into the criminal courts, you see this happening on a near daily basis, where you have these young fellas before the judge on serious assaults, breaking into houses, and you hear the judge saying, "Oh, it's their, it's his 50th conviction or it's his 30th conviction." A lot of the people that are before the guards have several convictions in front of them, and they stand in front of the guard and tell it their woes. I haven't got a job and it's my background and all that, and the judge lets them go. They know they're not going to be done. That's the problem, Darren.
Do you know why that is? Because it's the criminal law system. Do you know if you don't have a TV licence in Ireland, that's the most capital offence. You will do your time. You will get your fine. But you can go out, you can murder somebody, rape somebody, rob them. You can stand there, give a bunch of excuses. Oh, God loves him. Oh, he has a hard life. That's where the system fails. It's tolerated. Like on your 50th conviction, in any other country, you'd get the death penalty. Come on, guys.
We don't need a death penalty here now.
Well, what else do you suggest then? Come on, guys. I mean, like I said, these people are vermin. What else can we do with them?
Well, the death penalty, we don't want to go down that, and we're never going to go down that road where we're going to have the death penalty. Let me listen to a couple of your WhatsApp voice notes. You can WhatsApp voice note us on 0877 98 98 98.
Hi guys, about 11 years ago.
Sorry, we heard that one already. We'll have
the
listen to
Garda
this
in this country are only debt collectors, bunch of muppets in suits.
Okay, well the Garda don't wear suits for a start.
Jeremy, I know the guards are under-resourced, right, and they do have a tough job, but I keep seeing photos shared on Facebook every couple of days of guards in town and the local areas stopping law-abiding citizens and those little electric scooters going to work. I mean, come on lads, get your priorities right.
I agree with you completely, and it's something we actually addressed on the show a couple of weeks ago, where we were talking about the guards actually parading around town and taking electric scooters off people. You know what I mean? Yes. In some cases, I do believe that the Gardaí have their priorities up their arse when you have two Gardaí standing in a bus lane in the mornings checking for electric scooters, and then you have a local politician who's being beaten by two men and nothing's being done about it. Anyway, thank you very much for all your calls, your comments and your texts. It's 98FM's Dublin Talks.
Is 98FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
Now, I have a question for you on the show. Do we have a problem with drink in this country? Okay, do we have a problem with drink in this country? A major study out today has found that 1/5 of Irish people are hazardous binge drinkers. 1/5 of Irish people are hazardous binge drinkers. So 1/5 of you listening to the show at the moment have a drink problem and you don't even realise you do. Around 3/4 of us believe that binge drinking is just part of Irish culture. That, you know, we're Irish, we have a few drinks, it's just what we do. Well, Drink-Aware Chief Sheena Horgan has spoken out today of the study showing what an issue drink is for Irish people. And she explained what one standard drink unit actually is, because a lot of people don't actually know what one standard drink unit is.
It's a half pint, but that's actually almost the easy one to remember. It's also 100 mils of wine. Now, 100 mils of wine is probably not what you pour at home, and certainly isn't what you'll get in a bar or restaurant. And it's probably 150, 175, 200. I mean, interestingly, in the UK, they've a campaign for 125 mils in bars and restaurants. And I was there last week, and a lot of places you'll go to, they'll ask you, do you want 125 or 175? But so here we've a standard drink is 100 mils, and it means if you're having your typical glass of wine, you're already at 2 standard drinks, probably without even knowing.
Okay, so there you go. 1 glass of wine is 2 standard units of drink. It's quite scary, isn't it? Because a lot of you listening will probably go home this evening and you will probably have that 1 glass of wine. She also explained about the attitude, the Irish attitude, that it's just Irish culture.
It's kind of one of the scary findings. Now, there were several. There's a whole load of brilliant data and insights from the research. And the Drink-Aware Index really, for the first time, looked at the habits, attitudes and motivations of the Irish drinking population. And it's a real deep dive, if you like, that we haven't done before. And one of the big things is that kind of qualifying what the alcohol cultural norm is. And it's this broad, complacent acceptance. But from a behavioural change perspective, if we want to shift the dial, if we want to change what we're doing, we have to believe it's possible. But we also also have to talk about something different other than just saying, we all drink too much, and just get on with it. So we need to kind of shift that complacency. So we need to have a new national conversation, a new narrative. We need to shift the stereotypes. I'm not saying, and obviously the data is there to show we have a serious problem with regards to alcohol, but we are seeing some shoots, like even the fact that your Vox Pop there, they were talking about maybe it's too much or whatever. We're certainly seeing hundreds of thousands on an annual basis are coming online to the drinkaware.ie website looking for facts, tips, calculators. We have resources, measuring cups to help with 100 mils, calculators, and people are ordering them. So we've about 2,000 a month that go out to, schools, colleges, clubs, GP surgeries, health centres and the like. And we're also now going into workplace.
So there you have Sheena Horgan from Drinkaware explaining what a unit actually is and this whole culture of Irish drinking. I'm sure it's a bit of crack. Here's what I want to focus on for this part of the show. And these are the figures. 44% of us have admitted that we drink on a weekly basis. Okay, so maybe that's Thursday night at home, having a bottle of wine. Maybe that's having a bottle of wine twice over the weekend. Maybe that's going out to the pub on a Saturday or Sunday night or a Friday. 44% of us admit to drinking on a weekly basis. I want to hear from you. Is this a problem? If someone is having an alcoholic drink is drinking alcoholic drinks once a week, do you think they have a problem? Are you someone who drinks once a week and would have maybe 7 glasses of wine, maybe 7 bottles of beer, and you don't consider this being a problem? I want to hear from you. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp your comments to 087 798 98 98. 087 798 98 98. How regularly do you drink, and how much do you actually drink? Are you one of the 44% who drinks on a weekly basis? If so, is that a problem? The lines are open to you now.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less. 98FM.
It's 98FM's Dublin Talks. Do you drink too much? Do you feel that you drink too much? A study out today has found that 1/5 of Irish people are hazardous binge drinkers. Just think about it for the moment. Hazardous binge drinkers. That's absolutely crazy. That's a huge, huge number. Text or WhatsApp us 087 798 98 98 or call us on 6797 981. Are you one of the 44% that drink on a weekly basis? Stephen, you're on 98FM. How are you?
Yeah, good, Jeremy. Sorry.
What do you think Ireland's attitude towards drink sucks, basically?
Yeah, and it always has, as far as I've been alive, Jeremy. I just see fellas out of their bin every week. Now, I don't touch a drop myself, so I kind of see it a lot more than others would. But the same people constantly buckled at the shops or doing the same thing, drinking in the park. It's always the same crowd, that type of way.
And is it because we associate drink with every single event that's in Ireland? Christenings, weddings, everything has to revolve around drink?
Absolutely. That's hitting the nail on the head there. Everything we do has to include alcohol, which is pathetic, to be honest.
But does it if you can drink? If you can go out and you can you can go to a christening and you can just have 5 or 6 drinks. What is the issue with that?
Well, there is no issue if you're doing it once in a blue moon or once every so often. But if you're doing it on a regular basis, 2-3 times a week, you have a problem there.
Okay, does somebody, the 44% that drink once a week, do you think they have a problem? Someone who just drinks on a Saturday night?
Not once a week. If you were 2 or 3 times a week, or you're having 2 or 3 bottles of wine a week, 2 or 3 glasses a night and you can't go to bed without having a drink, well, then you have a problem.
Okay, let me read out this message that just came in, and it says, I'm at work so I can't talk, but I work 40 hours a week and I'm also a mum. At weekends I do enjoy a few glasses of wine. It helps me relax and unwind with such a busy week. It's only enjoyment I have to look forward to. I don't be drunk or anything of the sort. So would you judge that woman? She works hard Monday to Friday. She wants to sit down and relax at the weekend. She has a few glasses of wine. She probably does it every week. Is that a problem?
No, if the children are in bed and everything's fine, and if there's an emergency, somebody can get the children to a hospital, that's fine. But if you've got 2 parents at home that are drinking nearly every night and have drinks, if there's an emergency, are you going to wait an hour and a half for an ambulance, or are you going to drive in yourself?
So what, should a parent never be drunk then?
But one parent should if you're drinking at home, one parent should always be corpus mentis. You don't know what's going to happen. That's the way I see it.
My God, I would imagine there's a lot of parents listening now who, when they put the kids to bed, they'd have a bottle of wine between them and not think twice about it.
Okay, so if you had an accident then and the child got scalded by a kettle, say, and it's vital that you get that child to the hospital immediately, are you going to wait 20 minutes, an hour, for 2 hours even for an ambulance?
So
these are the questions you have to ask yourself before you put the glass of wine to your mouth.
But
I'm sorry, if you have kids, they come first.
So 2 parents can never sit at home in the evening time when the kids are in bed and have a couple of glasses of wine? I know everybody does it, Jeremy, but I'm just saying to you, I couldn't sit at home knowing that if there's an emergency in the house and the 2 of us are half buckled, it's just not responsible parenting as far as I'm concerned. Okay, stay there for a second, Stephen. In fairness, that's an issue for another day. I would imagine a lot of you listening would disagree with him because I'm sure you do have a couple of drinks when the kids are in bed. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp us on 087 798 98 98. If you're starting your day, says this texter, with a bottle of gin, you've got a problem. But if you're having, I would agree with that. But if you're having 6 bottles of Heineken on a Friday watching the Late Late Show, I'm sure you're fine. Well, not in the eyes of Drink Aware in this report, because if you're having 6 bottles of Heineken on a Friday night, you are kind of binge drinking. We've only got 10 years till climate change destroys us. Have a bit of fun, says that person. It's all a bit of fun until you become addicted to the drink. Keep the text or WhatsApp coming in, 0877 98 98 98. Lauren, you will be quite rare in that you only drink once a year.
Yeah, well, basically, I last time I had a few drinks really was on my holidays last summer. It's not really like a thing I think about. It's just I'm not a drinker, and neither is my partner, and my mum and dad aren't drinkers, and we just grew up in a household that there was never really any drink in it, but I have friends that go out on a Friday night or a Saturday night and have a few drinks, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. The only time I think there'd be something wrong with it is if that you're waking up and you have to have a drink, and you cannot function until you have a drink. That's a problem, obviously. But
okay, that's completely someone. That's someone who's dependent on drink. If they wake up in the morning and the first thing they think of is booze, that is somebody who is dependent on drink. But say your friends, they go out on a Friday or Saturday night.
Saturday night, and have a few drinks.
Well, what's a few? What's a few drinks?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I have no idea what they have. A bottle of wine, maybe 2. I don't know. It all depends. If they're at home, maybe a bottle of wine, and they might have just a bottle of wine at home. If they're not going out, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, I do agree if there is small kids in the house, that there is someone should always be there that they can, get things done that needs to get done if there's a sick child or whatever, but to sit at home and have a bottle of wine on the weekend once a week, I don't see why that would be a problem with anybody.
So 1 bottle of wine between 2 people wouldn't be a problem?
I don't think so, no.
And Stephen, would you have a problem with a bottle of wine between a couple?
No, as I said, Jeremy, unless there's a parent there that is able to get a child to hospital, that'd be my issue. You know how busy it gets on Saturday night with the hospital. You're going to be waiting on an ambulance. There's no question about it. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't take that risk with my children. I want to be there and ready if anything happens.
And Lauren, your friends that are drinking at the weekend, do they have children themselves? Or?
Yeah. Most of my friends have kids.
And how can they function the next day with a hangover? I would imagine it's not easy to look after children if you have a hangover the next day.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't really. I mean, I'm not like I don't literally say, oh, I'm only going to drink once a year. Like, you know, I might have a drink maybe at Christmas, but I don't really like. So I just, me myself, when I go away on holidays, I kind of like to have a few drinks and that's it. So I don't. That's why I couldn't function with a hangover personally. I couldn't, and I couldn't be dealing with a hangover with kids at home. So that's partly why I wouldn't drink. So I don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they function with their kids, but they do. You know.
Okay, stay there for a second, both of you, because I want to do a social experiment on the back of this study that was out today that's showing we have a hazardous drinking culture in Ireland, which of course we probably knew about anyway. And here's what I want you to do. I want you, every single person who drinks alcohol, okay, or even if you don't drink alcohol, I want every single person listening to get involved in this now, okay? And I want you to get your phone out and I want you to WhatsApp me on 087 798 98 98. And here's the question, okay? Last week, okay, so the week just gone, how many alcoholic drinks did you have? It's a very simple question. I want you to think about it. Last week, how many alcoholic drinks, not units, okay? How many alcoholic drinks did you have last week in total? Okay, so if you had 6 bottles of beer, text 6 bottles of beer. If you had 2 bottles of wine, text 2 bottles of wine. I want to get a flavour of what sort of drinking culture we actually have among our listeners. Okay, so the last week, taking the whole week, the 7-day period, maybe you were out 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, whatever the case may be. How many alcoholic drinks did you have in the space of a week from last week? So that's all you have to do is text that amount. If it's 0, if you don't drink at all, simply text 0. And send that to WhatsApp right now. 087 798 98 98, and they're absolutely flying in here. And I tell you, this is going to give us a flavour of just how big a problem we have, because a lot of people who are drinking don't realise that they have a problem. Okay, so keep those WhatsApps coming in. 087 798 98 98. How many alcoholics did you drink in the space of 1 week? Now, for you, Lauren, it was 0.
Yeah.
For you, Stephen, last week, from Monday to Sunday?
The last 25 years, 0.
Okay, so you haven't drank at all in 25 years?
No.
Okay, well, it'd be interesting to see what other people are. And sorry, can I ask you, Stephen, why did you give up the drink? Is there a reason why?
Well, there's 2 reasons. I have a job that depends on me not being drunk, and I'd lose everything if I got caught drinking, so I don't take the chance. And then my son is autistic, so I kind of have to be corpus mentis just in case. Okay, so you have to be on the ball all the time. Well, fair play to you. You actually gave up drink for the sake of your job and for the sake of your children as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here's one text message in from a girl by the name of Deborah. 9 Bacardis with Diet Coke. 3 days by 3 drinks. I think a lot of people would probably have a problem with that. Jackie, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Jackie. Can you turn off the radio if you don't mind in the background, please?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Now, Jackie, last week, during a 7-day period, you had 2 Baileys at a confirmation.
No, 2 Baileys on Friday night, and then I had a confirmation Saturday, and I had about 10 vodkas, I'd say, all day.
Okay, so they were 2 separate days. So 2 Baileys were had on one specific day, and then on the next day you had 10 vodkas in the space of a day.
Yeah.
Now, how did that work out? What were the circumstances surrounding you having 10 vodkas?
Well, we were at a confirmation that started at 2:30. So, and then it went back to with a family member at their house for it was a day.
And were you counting as you were drinking the vodkas? Were you counting, how many you had? Were you keeping track of it, or was it just a case of, you didn't know what you were having until the end of the day?
No, I mean, I would keep an eye on it. I know I had about 5 in the hotel, and I probably poured myself about 4 or 5 back in the house.
So you were kind of keeping track of it, but not too much.
No, I mean, I know my husband will be going to the bar, and I sort of remember most times that he's gone to the bar. But it'd be roughly, I had about 5 there and about 5 in the house.
Now, would that be a once-off because it was a special occasion, or would that be a weekly thing?
Oh no, that'd be once off now. Usually we'd have a drink. We would drink once a week, like on a Saturday. We'd have friends over, or we might get out for a drink maybe once in a month, like on a Saturday.
Do you think having 10 vodkas in the space of one day is an issue?
It's a lot, yeah, but I don't think it's an issue for me. I mean, I'm fine with it. It's not. I have a child. She's 13, and you know, she's never suffered. You know, like we wouldn't drink that much every weekend. It's just on a special occasion we would.
Okay, stay there for a second, please, Jackie. Let me go to Stephen. Stephen, you're on 98FM. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. In the space of a week, what did you have?
Roughly about 24 pints of Guinness, and that would work out at roughly 3 a day. Maybe after work, I do a 6-day week, and then at the weekends, maybe I'd have a bottle of wine too. After the dinner, maybe at the evening time.
Wow! So 24 pints of Guinness and a bottle of wine in the space of a week.
Yeah, easily, yeah.
So you would easily fall into the binge drinking category. Did you realise until this conversation today? Did you realise that you were guilty of binge drinking? And by the way, I'm not judging you. I'm just stating facts here.
I wouldn't class it as binge drinking because I've probably been doing it for the last 20 odd years consecutively. So I class binge drinking as something people might just do at once and then stop for a week and then do it again at the weekends and stop. Like, I'd have a lot of friends who might drink 10 or 12 pints over the Friday and the Saturday night. Well, you know, I'll just pop in for an hour each evening.
And why do you feel the need to drink 24 pints in a 7-day period?
It's become more of a social habit, to be honest. I'm a tradesman, so it used to be we'd finish off on a site and a few of us would go down the road on the way home, maybe. And I suppose it's stuck over the years, and obviously times have changed. I've got older, kids have grown up, things happen like that, you know?
Okay, stay there for a second, please, Stephen. 67979 981 is our telephone number. Keep those texts and WhatsApps coming in. 087 798 98 98. We're trying to find out how much of a drinking culture people have. I want you to stay there for a second there, Stephen. Stephen has 24 pints of Guinness and a bottle of wine in the space of a week. Is that a problem? 98. It's 98FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here for a Tuesday morning, and Georgie's here with the top stories.
Thanks, Jeremy. Good morning. 74% of people believe that drinking is just part of Irish culture. The 2019 Drink Aware Index report also found that the average teen had their first alcoholic drink at the age of 14. Teachers are reporting anxiety among some pupils in primary schools as a result of standardised tests. All schools are now required to have standard reading and maths tests in second, 4th and 6th classes, and to report the findings to parents and the Department of Education. And Chicago has sworn in its first openly gay mayor. 56-year-old Lori Lightfoot is also the city's first African-American female to take the position. She was sworn in alongside her wife Amy and their daughter. Now you're up to date on 98.
98FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
It's 98FM's Dublin Talks into the second hour of the show, and we're in the middle of a conversation. Well, you heard it there in 98FM News with Georgie about this drinking study out today showing the amount of alcohol that we are consuming. Now, just before the break, we were talking to Stephen there, and quite a reaction to his admission that on an average week you would have 24 pints of Guinness and also a bottle of wine as well. And I was asking you to text us in the amount of alcohol you had in a weekly or on a weekly basis, and just it's amazing getting an overview of what the alcohol people are actually drinking. On Friday, says, and this is a girl who texts us in, on Friday 10 bottles of Budweiser. On Saturday 4 pints, 4 cans and 1 cocktail. On Sunday 5 pints and 1 gin and tonic. So just think about that for the moment. In the space of the weekend, this woman, and it says, I'm not judging you, this is literally just a social experiment to see how much you're actually drinking. So on Friday, 10 bottles of beer, Saturday 4 pints and 4 cans and a cocktail, and a Sunday 5 pints and a gin and tonic. Jackie, do you think that's a lot for anybody over the space of a weekend?
For me, it would be, yeah. But I mean, each to their own. I don't know whether she had things on each evening or whether that's a norm for, you know, every weekend. I wouldn't personally, but I would just make myself feel guilty if I drank that much on the way.
Okay, stay there for a second. Let me go to line 1. And Jedamina, is that how you pronounce your name?
That's right, yeah.
How are you? You're on 98 FM.
How are you doing?
Grand. Now, tell me about your drinking habits.
I wouldn't drink most weeks, to be honest. I wouldn't even drink at all, but it's just on a rare occasion, I would probably drink a bit excessively. So it kind of depends. But I mean, as I said, like, on most weeks I wouldn't drink at all. And that has all changed as well when I met my girlfriend there last year. When I was back in college, I used to drink a lot. And then even when I finished, after graduated, I still kept drinking about 2 or 3 times a week. And when I met her, now she doesn't drink at all. So when I met her, it kind of just naturally changed my habits as well.
I think a lot of the problem, and you've touched on something there, I think a lot of the problem with drinking is if you are in a relationship with someone who is also a heavy drinker, it doesn't help because you kind of feed off each other. And if you both like the booze, the chances are you're going to drink more. Whereas if you're in a relationship, and is your current partner, does she like drink? Does she drink much?
No, she wouldn't. I mean, she would rarely have a cocktail, I suppose. But I mean, half of the time we would go out for a drink, she would get like a non-alcoholic cocktail as well. So, she wouldn't be into drinking at all. And as I said, like, I mean, I used to drink a lot more than I do now, but she doesn't like seeing me drunk. And it's, you know, I suppose when you love somebody, you just kind of want to make them happy one way or another.
Okay, so because she is not as into drink as you are, she has sort of curbed your drinking habits and that you're not drinking as much as you used to.
Yeah, well, I mean, curbed is the right word, because I mean, she never forced me to stop, if that makes sense. I mean, I just wanted to do it myself because, you know, I wouldn't be going out as much as I used to. Just because, I mean, I don't know, we don't go out. She's not the most sociable person, if you will. So yeah, no, I don't want to do it myself, I suppose. I know that she doesn't like when I drink, so I mean, she's away at the moment, so I might have a few drinks tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, well, you're hitting the bottle while she's away, are you?
No, I won't be. No.
Thanks for sharing your drinking habits with us on 98 FM. Let me read out this message here. I would imagine this is quite an issue. Myself and my wife every week drink a bottle of whiskey between us. Now, obviously, you like whiskey, which is fair enough, but I think a bottle of whiskey between you is probably a bit much. When I drink at the weekends, I only drink once, and I would have 15 pints over the period of a Friday and Saturday. I don't consider this a drinking issue. Most people drink the same as me. Well, to that person, yeah. From what I can gather from the text messages coming in at the moment, we do have a drinking problem, and a lot of people who are texting in the amount of alcohol that they've had in a 1 week period is absolutely, it's scary. It really is scary, and it reinforces that report from Drink Aware that we do have a binge drinking culture and we're not even aware of what that is. Thank you very much for all your calls, your comments and your texts.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here until midday today. Now, on to something completely and utterly different. Well, is it completely and utterly different? Because it does involve drink as well. I mean, you're talking about Irish weddings, and in particular, whether or not children have a place at a wedding. Going to read out a message in a moment from a listener by the name of Liam, who sent us this message on Facebook yesterday. And Liam has an issue with children being at weddings. If you've been to a wedding in the last year or in the last couple of years, did you find that children ruined the wedding? If you were getting married next year, would you ban children from the wedding? Here's what Liam says in his message. Lads, I was at my 4th wedding of the year last weekend. Geez, God love you, 4 weddings in the space of a year. And all of the weddings I've been to have had kids at them. And I need to vent about this. I don't think that children have any place at a wedding. The day should be for adults only. I didn't go to a wedding until I was 19, and I believe you don't appreciate them until you're a bit older. To be honest, I'm sick of parents these days taking for granted that their little darlings will be invited to their friend's wedding. It makes the day feel more like a playtime at a creche than a day for adults to enjoy. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with kids. I just don't think they belong at a wedding. The day is too long for them. They end up passed out on the couch while the adults are drunk. And to cap it all off, their parents don't even enjoy themselves because they're too worried about their kids. And he goes on and on and on in his email, Liam, but he doesn't think children should be at weddings. He says, can couples just grow a pair and tell their friends and relatives that their little darlings are not welcome at the weddings? Thanks, says Liam. I got married and we had kids at our wedding. I wouldn't have had it any other way. I think the kids made the wedding. But Liam believes that children have no place at a wedding. And that's what I want to hear from you. Do kids belong at a wedding, or do they ruin the day? Did you have children at yours? If so, did it affect the day? And I don't want to focus on the alcohol because we've spoken about alcohol already. But I want to focus on the day as a whole. It's a very, very long day. You know, it can start at 9 o'clock in the morning. It can go on till 2 o'clock the next morning. Is it really a day where you want to be dragging a 5 or 6 year old or even an 11 or 12 year old around? Do kids belong at weddings? Can you relate to what Liam is talking about? 4 weddings he's been at. There's been kids at all of them, and they have wrecked his head. I'd like to hear from you. 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp your comments to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Joining us on the line from Marry Me Ireland is Lorraine Mancy O'Brien. You're very welcome along to 98FM's Dublin Talks. Lorraine, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so we gather Liam doesn't like children at weddings. He doesn't have a problem with children per se, but he doesn't think the day, the whole makeup of the day is suitable for children.
Well, I mean, it's a kind of controversial, and I'm sure your listeners are going to sort of, write in droves. And I really think it depends what your theme of the wedding is. Weddings are really a celebration of love, but also they can come at a time, like maybe, a blended family where you've got different children from different relationships, or perhaps, you've got children that are celebrating that new love for you, or perhaps you weren't married for ages and you're getting married a little bit later on, and your children, you'd like your children as a part of the ceremony, but also there. So I think it is a bit controversial, but at the same time, I can see his point. So it depends on the couple entirely. But listen, one easy way around this is have the children there for the morning and the afternoon. And most weddings would sort of start potentially around lunchtime. And then maybe have a babysitter, maybe 8 o'clock or something, call time. And then the adults can have their time and the children can have theirs. But I wouldn't have had it any other way than to have my daughter and her cousins and friends at our wedding. And I think sometimes it can make it. Again, if you think about the ceremony, very often people are having flower girls and page boys, and they want a wedding isn't just for the couple, it's for everyone to be inclusive most of the time. So they want their family members there. It'd be very hard to say only adults. And whilst there are couples that do that, I know then that causes huge problems for people who really have to find a sitter for sort of a 24-hour period or can't go at all because of that. So that's the other aspect of it is, you're marginalising people, I suppose, because of it.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, can you imagine, okay, a lot of people have weddings and they say they don't want children at them. Can you imagine somebody getting married next week and on the invites it said no old people? But can you imagine? I don't want anybody over the age of 70 at my wedding because they'll get tired, they'll be grumpy later on. We just don't want old people at our wedding. There'll be war over it. Yet it seems
there would, of course.
Yet it seems acceptable to deny children. And your wedding, you had children previous to getting married. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. I mean, she was 6 when we got married, so as a consequence, she wanted to be part of the day, so she was a major factor in sort of the way that we framed the day, I suppose. One of the things we did was have an ice cream truck that came down, gave free ice cream to all the kids, and that was probably the thing she remembers most about it. But again, it depends on your stance. It depends where in your life cycle you're falling. It depends on how you feel about kids. I think that listener's just having a bad day.
Do you think? Yeah, when people are having a bad day, they always contact us, by the way. No, but he's had 4 weddings, and he's pretty much said that at every wedding the wedding was ruined by children.
he may feel differently and he doesn't say if he has his own children, but he may feel differently if he had his own kids. I think that's probably one way around it. It depends what you think the wedding is for. It's a celebration of love. It's really for the wider family and friends to come together, sometimes for the very first time, of sort of, the wider family, certainly. So, it's beyond the couple and sort of just getting, just having drinks. It's much more than that. It's much more symbolic than that. So I think it's a little bit short-sighted to say it needs to be only adults. I think children make the day for a lot of people.
For Air, certainly they did make the day. But having said that, looking back on it, by 9 o'clock they were all absolutely wrecked. So what I think, and one of the guys on our team was saying this morning at a wedding he was at recently, they had a room in the hotel where all the kids went up with one of the older cousins at about 9 o'clock that night, and they just sat in the room there, or they had a party in the room away from all the adults.
Have a babysitter. In fact, there are services, that you can hire, and a lot of hotels would have babysitters where you could sort of, do a rate and have all the children up there. The children also don't want to be there sort of downstairs necessarily past sort of 7 or 8 o'clock. They may want to do a bit of dancing and then be taken upstairs as well, and then you can have your free time. So I think that's the perfect way around it.
Okay, so kids can make a wedding. They can also break a wedding ceremony, but it depends on whether or not the couple, I suppose, they have children or there's a lot of children in the family. Is that what
right? There's nothing as adorable as a small child coming down with the rings, or as part of the ceremony, or
crying during the vows.
Well, that will always happen. Again, people don't mind babies so much. They're just small and adorable. But at the end of the day, really, what you're sort of talking about is what do you think the wedding is for? Where are you coming from? And for most people, it's about inclusivity. And I think that's the bottom line.
Thanks very much, Lorraine Mancy O'Brien from Marry Me Ireland. I would like to hear from you. 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. Do you agree with Liam's sentiments that children have no place being at a wedding? They ruin the day. I remember being at a wedding about a year ago of a neighbour. And there was a child at the wedding, a child of about 3 or 4, and the child cried all the way through the wedding vows. And the parents who had the child there didn't even... I mean, the logic would be, if your child is crying during the wedding vows, you take your child out of the bloody church. But these parents insisted on leaving their little dote on their lap. They were trying to placate him, trying to stop him from crying. And he literally cried all the way through their wedding vows. And I felt sorry for the couple, because what's supposed to be a very, it's supposed to be silent in the church when you're saying, I do you take this man, I do. And all you could hear is, wah, wah, down the back of the church. And I was like, that child has ruined their wedding day. Let me go to Kildare. Anthony, hello, you're on 98FM. How are things?
Good morning, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad at all. Now, you believe they do have a place?
I do. Well, in certain circumstances, I think the lady that you had on a second ago put it pretty well, and I'd echo her sentiments that kids, I suppose depending on the couple, the kids can make or break a ceremony. I've been to several weddings where kids were included in the ceremony, included in the festivities for the entire day, and kids were, I suppose, a major part of the wedding celebrations. And I've been to weddings where there was maybe 1 or 2 kids, and older kids at that. They'd be almost teenagers. So there's a wide variety of them. I mean, it depends on what, and again, it depends on what you want out of the wedding as well for the couple. And also the guests. Well,
you don't want your date to be ruined, Anthony. Like my neighbour's wedding vows were ruined by a screaming kid. I mean, nobody.
But you don't. But we'll say, put the shoe on the other foot. What did the couple actually think about that? Did the couple want that baby there? Was the baby niece or nephew off?
I would imagine that. I would imagine that night, Anthony, when my neighbours were back in the hotel room, they were cursing the bloody child. I'd say they were, because they knew that the child was crying during the vows. The whole church did. The parents did nothing to take the child out of the church. So essentially, that child ruined.
Well, I disagree with you there. Like when I got married about 7 years ago, and I'm the youngest of 6. So all my older siblings,
they all had kids, did they? Yeah,
and they all had their kids at the wedding. I wasn't going to tell them that they had to go looking for babysitters for my wedding because the kids couldn't come. I'm not that heartless. And of course, the kids, they're not machines either. They're not going to sit silently.
No, you can't expect to. Yeah,
I get your point. A child screaming its head off. The logic would be to stand up and take the child out. And in fact, that actually did happen. My brother-in-law took out his son, who was creating a little bit of a fuss. He stood up and walked down the side of the ceremony. No big deal.
Oh, this was during the ceremony. He started kicking up during the ceremony, did he?
He just started making a little bit of noise, and as you said, the logic would be stand up and take him down the back. He brought him outside, calmed him down a little bit, and brought him back in and sat him down the back, and nobody was the wiser. And whereas I'm thinking back to my wedding, and the happiest memories I have is of celebrating the day with all of my family. Not did a child make noise, did someone step out of line, was there a kid there making a fuss and ruining things.
Okay, stay there for a second, please, Anthony. Let me go to Navan and Sharon. How are you, Sharon? You're on 98FM.
How you doing?
Now, you had a wedding, or was it your wedding last October?
Yeah, I just got married there in October, just gone.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it was a kid-free wedding, wasn't it?
Well, we had just our 2 kids at it, and they were 5 and 8 at the time, and we banned every other child.
Oh, the word banned. I love the way you're using the word banned. Yeah,
and
banned.
I actually meant banned because we had family members wanting to bring kids just to the church part, and we said no, no kids.
Did you say that on the invites, or how did you break that?
No, we basically told them straight out.
Oh,
no kids whatsoever. A friend of mine had a baby 6 weeks prior and was breastfeeding and asked, could she bring? And I said, no, I'm not giving one rule for you and another one for anybody else.
You remind me, Sharon, of the doorman that stands in the local nightclub, and everybody that goes, no, not tonight, no regulars, banned, you're banned.
Yeah, exactly. I'm forking out money, the amount of money we spent on that wedding. I'm not having kids ruin my day, and it's not a crash. Weddings not for kids. Even when we are going to weddings, we're like, please don't invite our kids, we want a night out.
Tell us how you really feel, don't you, Sharon? However, the slightly hypocritical part about this is that you had your own there.
Yes, but if I didn't have my own too, I wouldn't have any kids either.
No, I understand you had to invite your own children. You have to have your own. Yeah,
but no choice.
But you're kind of saying at one stage, it's okay to have my kids there, but it's not okay to have anybody else's kids there.
Yeah, because they're our kids. They were our kids, so we had to invite them. So we brought them for the day, and they thankfully now they actually were on the best behaviour. And by 10 o'clock, they were actually asking to go to bed. It was too long for them. We had a babysitters organised and everything, and for the day to watch them, so we didn't even have to see them.
How did it go down with they weren't happy, I assume, most of your friends and family?
I didn't care, to be honest with you.
Well, what did they say to you? What did some of them say to you?
They just basically asked, could they bring them to the church for the photos, for family photos?
That would have been nice, Sharon, no?
No.
Oh.
No. Didn't want them there. What was the point? The most part I didn't want them there was at the church, because like that fella just said, they started screaming in the church. That's your video ruined. With a child screaming down the back of the church.
Stay there for a second, please, Sharon. Elise and Samantha, I'll come to you in a second. A lot of people not happy with our Sharon there. Got married last October. And the wedding was lovely. It was a lovely day.
It was perfect. Everything went
perfect
smoothly.
Because there was no little brats there, isn't that right?
No little brats.
Yeah, so the only 2 children at Sharon's wedding were her own 2. I'd like to hear from you. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Was Sharon right? Well, of course she was. She can do whatever she wants. It's her wedding day. But would you be upset if Sharon was your friend?
Good morning, Jeremy. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Listen to me. Tell Liam the next time he's invited to a wedding to ask if there's kids going. And if so, tell him not to turn up. It's a family event, the idiot. It's shady here. I can't talk at the minute, but just tell him to cop on. It's a family event. Good luck.
Sharon, I think he sent that message before he even heard your call. I'd say we get another message from him in a moment of set with you. Have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note. Hello?
We have had to turn weddings down because it says on the invite, no children allowed. That the bride and groom didn't want children at the wedding. So I suppose you could always put that on the invite.
Sharon, would you feel guilty about that man having to turn down the wedding invite?
No, because at the end of the day, it's the bride and groom's choice to who they want to invite.
You're just not budging, are you, Sharon? There's no budging.
No, I'm not, because I don't think a wedding is for kids.
Okay, hang on, let's what's that voice note here?
Morning, Jeremy, it's Kev here.
Hey, Kev.
This guy, Liam, the best thing he can do if he's got so uptight about children being around a wedding, just don't attend the wedding. He does have that choice. The day is not about him. He doesn't like children, stay away. And as for that lady, if she wants to ban children from a wedding, that's her prerogative.
Yeah, nobody's saying it isn't her prerogative, Kev, but what we're saying is it not a bit heartless. And this one is for you, Sharon. I think this might be a positive one, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we hope.
Fair play to you, Sharon, good woman. Your wedding, you decide what you want.
There you go, Sharon. You have a supporter.
Hey, I'm not the only one out there.
No, you're not. Stay there for a second, and we'll come to Samantha after the break as well, who doesn't like kids. Why does nobody like kids? Back in a sec.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less. 98FM.
It's 98FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here for a Tuesday morning. Dublin Talks is a child-free zone. No children wrecking your head on the radio today, let me tell you, because what I'm gathering here is that a lot of you don't like the sound of children, especially during wedding days. We're talking about Liam, and Liam's upset that the last 4 weddings he's been to have been full of kids, and they've ruined the day. Let me go to Samantha. How are you, Samantha?
I'm good, how are you?
Why do you hate children, Samantha?
I don't hate children. I got married last August and we didn't invite Annie to the wedding at all. Between myself and my husband, we've got 14 nieces and nephews.
Oh my God!
You know, that would be more like a creche than anything else.
Oh, would it be?
It
would have been like a play zone.
Yeah.
You know, there would have been a trampoline on the tables and the whole lot. So there were literally no children at it.
No, if you didn't get served at the bar, you weren't invited.
Oh, really? Was that written on the invoice? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the rules. If you weren't old enough to get served at the bar, then you just weren't going to be invited.
And how did the family react to that?
Like they were fine a bit apprehensive at the start. You know, oh no kids, but I suppose the more the more that they think about it, they're like, well, you don't go on a night out of a Saturday night into town with your kids, so why would you go to a wedding with your kids?
You know, you've just made a point that I've never heard being made before, and it makes absolute sense that, yes, you and your friends wouldn't get together and say, let's go out on a Saturday night and I'm bringing Tommy who's 6. You just wouldn't do it. And we're going to bring Tommy to Copperface Jack's till 2 o'clock in the morning. It just wouldn't happen.
Well, like that was it, and that was the point that we kind of made to people, that if you were going into town on the drink, you know, you wouldn't be bringing your kids. So why would you bring your kids to a wedding?
But I take it it's not just because of the drink, though, is it? It's because the whole day just isn't suited for children, is it?
Yeah, well, like that at that stage, like myself and my husband, we didn't have any kids, you know, so we were like, why have we to pay for everyone else's kids' dinners? If we didn't have any of our own, like.
So you do hate kids, in other words. You didn't want to pay for other kids at the wedding. That was the reason.
No. No, not like that. It's just we just didn't want them there. It wasn't that wasn't the type of day that we were looking for. You know, our wedding was very elegant. You know, it was that's the style that we were looking for.
Oh, why? You can't have an elegant wedding with children?
No.
Oh, Jesus. So what? My wedding was like a McDonald's wedding? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I've been to weddings with kids and like they are fine. It's just like you'd have kids running underneath the tables, pulling apart the table centerpieces. You know, they cost a lot of money.
And if you had kids of your own before you got married, would you have had your own kids there?
I don't know. I don't think I would, if I'm being honest.
Oh my God, Samantha.
Yeah, like I just going to be honest about it. Like we had no kids, and everyone was so relaxed, and even I had people that had children text me after the wedding saying it was the best idea ever, that they had a great day, and it made them enjoy it a lot more because they weren't having to leave to get kids babysitters. They weren't having to be following up with babysitters or anything like that. You know, we had the wedding at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so it was a later wedding. It wasn't from 11 o'clock in the morning. You know, so they did have the morning to sort out things, and if they were getting a babysitter, it wasn't until the afternoon, you know.
But just to reiterate the point, a wedding with children can't be an elegant wedding. That's what you said.
Yeah.
Let me read out a message for you here, and I won't use the word that Anthony used in the message, but Samantha is a you-know-what for not wanting children at her wedding. Children, she believes that children should be seen, not heard. No, you don't want them seen or heard, from what I can gather. Samantha, let me go to one last call on this, and that is Yvonne, because Yvonne, you are a celebrant of civil weddings.
Hi, that's it. So,
sorry, are they elegant, by the way?
In the main, every wedding is elegant.
Oh no, not according to our Samantha here. No.
Well, what I would say neither one thing nor the other, but what I was going to just would give a few pointers how everything can be managed that everybody can enjoy a wedding. So I have married all types of people, all age ranges, with and without children. And basically, what I do is I meet with the couple quite a few times before I marry them. I absolutely know of all children that are going to be invited. And the children closer to the family, i.e. the sons or the daughters, are usually involved in part of the ceremony, i.e. hand fasting or sand blending or something like that, or if they're old enough to read a poem. And I find with child participation, it's a huge part of the ceremony, whether it's the bride or groom's own children or godchildren or whatever. Furthermore, before I start a ceremony, I always read out any housekeeping rules, i.e. no phones or cameras. And at that point, it is possible to say, please, when the couples take their vows, if your child feels they need to leave the room, would you just accompany them outside? And that gets over anything for everybody, for people that want to have children.
Now, Yvonne, I don't know you from Adam. We've never met.
No.
But I can tell, talking to you, you're an authoritative woman. I would not break any of your rules. I'd say when you stand up there and you say these things, everybody obeys us, do they?
Well, I'm not that authoritative, really.
Oh, no, but you're coming across, I'm terrified of you.
Well, the bride and groom always know I'm going to say it, and they quite like that because they find that it's actually quite embarrassing for them to stand up, especially with social media nowadays. So I would say something like, say, if the bride, for example, walking up didn't want photos, I'd say, before she comes in, this bride coming in here does not want to see the back of your phones, or the only phone we need to see our camera is the professional stuff.
Yeah, that's what we did at our wedding, and it was our wedding planner that said it because we didn't want to. No bride or groom wants to stand up in front of the crowd and say.
No, it's very daunting. But I think nowadays an awful lot of importance has gone out of the ceremony, which to me is very, very important. It can, of course, be a very glamorous occasion, but it's also a very beautiful occasion.
And sorry, one final question for you, Yvonne, because I'm running out of time.
Sure.
Has a child ever ruined one of your civil weddings?
Well, no, and believe me, I've worked with a lot of children that have had special needs, so obviously the parents have actually wanted them to be there, so that has also been managed. I'm not saying that that's the same as other, but it can be managed, you know what I mean, if people want children there, which I personally think is a very beautiful thing to have.
I agree with you, Yvonne. Thank you very much. See, children can be elegant at weddings and civil ceremonies. Thank you very much for your calls, your comments and your texts. Let's wrap up with I have a rake of WhatsApp voice notes. Let's start off with this one.
Hey guys.
Hi.
I won't have any kids at my wedding either. Now I have my own child. My partner has 2 kids and they'd be the only one. Now we are due to get married very soon, and my mother-in-law to be has actually gone mad that we won't invite her nieces and nephews or etc. But we have never really had any dealings with that side of the family. Now if that was the case, then I'd have to bring all my family who I'd be very, very close with, all my nieces and nephews from that side, or my cousins' kids, and etc.
Okay, can I just say one thing to you and just stop you there, ma'am? Basically, you've made a very big mistake. You're not even married yet, and you've already pissed off your mother-in-law. That's not a good start. Just whatever the mother-in-law says, go with it.
Hi, Jeremy. I had no children at my wedding going back 15 years now from tomorrow. I didn't want them there, and now I've got to the stage where if I am invited to a wedding, I certainly will not be bringing my kids, whether the kids are allowed or not. I want to go out and enjoy myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and happy wedding anniversary to you tomorrow.
When I get a wedding invitation, I pray that it has written on it no kids, so I can get a day out with no worries, no minding, no feeding, no looking after, no cleaning. Day in the pub, in a restaurant, hotel, wherever.
Okay, doesn't want his kids at the wedding. And one final one. Hello?
Hi, Jeremy.
How are you?
I was at a wedding there a few weeks ago. One of the groom's younger children stood on glass at the reception in the late hours of the night. Thank God it wasn't too superficial, but, places and kids,
They don't mix.
Has to be a right place and a right time for kids.
Okay. In fairness, every child doesn't get injured at a wedding, but it can happen. Anyway, that was a very interesting conversation. A lot more people than I realised actually banned kids from their wedding. I think times have changed. If you did it 20 years ago, it'd be frowned upon. Nowadays, it's pretty standard. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks.
98FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
After the break, something slightly embarrassing. And it's embarrassing for me. It's something I'm embarrassed about, but I'm going to admit to. And it's all to do with road rage. And after the break, I'm going to play a recording of my son, who has witnessed my road rage so many times that he now imitates it. I didn't know this recording existed until today. And we're going to open up the conversation about road rage and whether or not you are aggressive behind the wheel. Are you someone who is aggressive behind the wheel? Do you suffer from road rage? Do you get angry while driving the car? I don't want to be the only one that comes out here and admits this. When you hear this recording, you're going to see a completely different side of me. Trust me. Back in a second.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors. Where quality flooring costs less. 98FM.
Good morning, 98FM's Dublin Talks. With myself, Jeremy Dixon. I'm about to make an admission on the air, but I want you to admit as well if you are prone to road rage. I don't mean being a victim of it, I mean you being the perpetrator of it. Are you an aggressive person behind the wheel? Let me set the scene. I suffer a word you'd use first? Yeah. I suffer really badly with road rage. Once I get behind the wheel of the car, I hate idiots on the road. I am not the problem, it's idiots that are the problem. And I can get very frustrated. And as you know, I have a young fella, he's now 4 years of age, and he travels in the back of the car all the time. And you forget how much of a sponge kids can actually be. And when you think they're not listening to you, they are listening to you. 3 weeks ago, I was pulling out of Dundrum Town Centre, pulling out of the car park, and a fella pulled right out in front of me in a 7-seater, and I screamed at him, and I said pretty much, "Get out of the way, you silly," and the word begins with B and ends with X. Okay, so you know what the word was. So I shouted at him, "Get out of the way, you silly," that word. 20 minutes later, my son starts shouting in the background, saying the B word over and over again. So I realised I had to cop on. I obviously didn't cop on. Yesterday, my mother-in-law and his auntie, and my young fella's auntie, were driving our young fella back home in the car. And he was in the back of the car with my mother-in-law, and he started doing impressions of me when I'm driving the car. So she took out the phone and recorded this. I want you to have a listen to this. This is very, very embarrassing that I behave like this. This is my son behind my back to his granny, imitating the way I behave in the car. I don't think he uses language though, so we should be okay. Have a listen.
Pick a lane. Go on to the other side. Go on to the other side. Would you come on? Get off the road. Would you look at this car ahead? In and out, in and out, in and out. Pick a lane for God's sake. Would you get out of my way? Beep, beep, beep. All these traffic lights are against us. Another red light. I can't deal with this. Would you move over?
That's exactly what I say. I can't deal with this. I tell people to move over. By the way, he wasn't prompted to say this. This literally happened out of nowhere when he was in the back of the car driving with his auntie and his grandmother. And he just came out with that. So he has been listening to me. That's how bad my road rage actually is. Are you someone who was guilty of road rage? Text or WhatsApp me now, 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98 is the text or WhatsApp number. You can hear it there. That's him copying me. That's how bad I actually am. I want you to put up your hands as well. I'm after putting up my hands and playing that embarrassing clip. Are you someone who is also guilty of this? Text me now. James, how are you?
Jeremy, how are you?
Now, you heard that recording of my son impersonating me. I didn't realise I was actually that bad until I heard that back this morning. I have an issue. Have you a problem?
I've got a serious problem. Well, I don't be on the road as much as I used to be, but yes, I had a severe problem. I punched the steering wheel and everything. Side door panel of the van, I still hit it. People get in my way, one are cutting me over, overtaking me. Dad's jumping out of lanes, coming off an off ramp, and he'd be cutting across 3 or 4 lanes and then stopping right in front of you and then driving slow. Just irritating.
And you even sound angry at the moment on the phone. I'm terrified talking to you. But you, like myself, you think that everybody else is to blame, don't you?
Yeah, of course I do, yeah. Of course I do.
And in fairness, in my defence, everybody else is to blame. I'm not to blame.
My defence as well, everybody else is to blame as well. If somebody cuts you off, comes off his off ramp, and if he comes across 3 lanes and comes straight in front of you, who's to blame? You? No, that's bloody gobshite.
Yeah, it's the other gobshites on the road. It's not us.
Yeah. I've had helpers in the van, and even your own brothers as well. You don't get into the van with me anymore.
Because of your aggression?
Yeah. I just punched the side of the van in anger with idiots on the road. Like I said, I'm not on the road as much.
Sorry, you punched your own van or somebody else's?
Well, my own van, inside the van, the door. The panel of the door, else I'd be hitting the steering wheel.
Okay, so you are quite aggressive.
Yeah, I'm quite aggressive on the road, yeah.
Did you ever get out of the car, James?
Never got out of the car. Screamed out, roll down the window and screamed at them, alright, yeah.
And without using language, what have you screamed at these motorists?
I hope your car flips over, gets forward tires and everything else you name, I'll say everything.
Oh, okay. It's like, what, you wish death on a fellow motorist?
No, don't wish death on them. Just get 4 points and crash the car, just get out of my way.
Wow. And what have they said back to you?
Nothing. They're up.
they're terrified, are they?
Probably, yeah.
Wow. Is it only... thanks for that, James. I'm wondering, is it only men that are guilty of road rage, or is it women? Now, where Rachel, who works on the show with us, she said in the meeting today that she is prone to road rage as well, but she's kind of calmed down recently. Are there any women who are guilty of road rage or prone to it? Text or WhatsApp us, 0877 98 98 98. Pete, you get the rage as well, do you?
Do I watch it? I swear to God. I'm actually driving at the moment, and the guy there is right up behind me here, and I feel like jamming on because it's me headed. Yeah, 100% road rage. I scream and shout. You haven't got a clue what I'd be saying to people. That guy there just sounds like an angel compared to me.
Oh, okay. So without using the language, give me an example of what... Okay, so here's the scenario, Pete. You're in the car, and somebody's driving right up behind you and won't back away. What would you do?
Yeah. Okay, well, basically, right, without using bad language.
Yeah, roll down the window there. Let me hear. What are you going to say?
Windows down.
Okay, windows down. I'm terrified.
Right. You keep riding up the back of me, I swear to God, I'm going to jam on it. You end up rear-ending me, you dopey. That's what I'm like.
Oh.
And that's nothing. And then I have people that drive in front of me. And they're even worse. And I have. If I'm not in the van and I'm in the car, I get out of people as well.
Okay, let's deal with a slightly less scenario here, Peter. Okay, you're stopped. This is something that annoys me. You're stopped at the traffic lights, Peter. Okay.
Yeah.
And the car in front of you, the light's gone green, and the car in front of you is not moving because he's not paying attention. What do you shout to him out the window?
I end up going like this. Wait to hear this.
Okay, terrifying.
Music. Christ. That's what I'm like, Jeremy. And also, if I find that somebody is driving on their phone in front of me,
and
swerving all over the place, I flash them, I blow them out of it, and then if they pull up the traffic lights and they still don't stop, I'll get out of the car and I'll start tapping on the window.
Well, you'll hit on their you'll tap their window.
If they roll up their window and try to ignore me, I keep banging on the window until they turn off the phone and tell me to F off myself, because then at least it's got them off the phone.
Okay, Pete, I'll come back to you in a sec, because you seem to be the most aggressive motorist I've ever spoken to in my life. Stay there for a second, calm down, take a breather, breathe, do the 10 bubbles thing. 1, 2, hi Betty.
Hi.
I am terrified that someone like Peter is on the road. He's very aggressive, isn't he?
Well, I'd be a little bit like that myself.
Oh, you sound like you wouldn't say boo to anybody.
Oh, when I get into the car, I'm a different person.
Oh, okay.
Don't have much patience for people on the road.
No, me neither.
would do quite a bit of cursing.
Okay, yeah, we all do. I mean, as I said, my young fella went around saying the B word, BOLL, whatever way you spell it, IX, for about a week because I was calling a motorist that. I use language when I'm driving the car that I would never ever use anywhere else.
Well, I think we all do. I would have called a lot of people stupid suckers, as my grandchild used to
suckers,
say.
yeah, she said suckers, yes. Yeah. Thanks, Jamie.
Pronounce her F.
Yeah.
So she was going around telling everyone, Granny calls all them people stupid suckers. So I kind of had to stop. And
what makes you angry? Why do you get so aggressive?
Oh, people doing silly things. 1 minute they're doing 78, 75 in an 80 zone when it should be 80. I mean, 80 is slow enough. Jamming on in front of you, coming around a roundabout in one lane and going into another one. Oh, there's a lot of silly people out there.
There are. Now, without using language again, Betty, so you're driving along the road and you're in an 80 zone and the person in front of you, okay, so picture this. So you're driving in the car, you're in an 80 zone, Betty, and the person in front of you is driving 50. What do you say to them?
Oh, my God. Well, that stupid sucker.
Sucker, yeah, sucker.
My way.
So you want the sucker to get out of your way. Do you bang on the steering wheel as well?
No, it's just mostly just giving out and cursing. Very, very seldom I blow my horn at them unless they got in my way.
And are you using all this road rage when your granddaughter's in the back of the car, are you?
Well, no, I had to stop them when she started telling people. But this would have been when she was 3, 4. She's now 8. So it's just, they don't put any passing me now.
So you've cut down on the language while the granddaughter's in the car, which is a good thing.
When there's somebody in the car. Well, when there's children in the car.
And have you managed to control your rage?
Sometimes. Oh. My sister might say different, but...
I think I don't think there's any way. Well, stay there for a second, Betty. I don't think there's any way of controlling your road rage. I think once you have it, you just have it. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note.
How's things, lads?
Good.
Absolute gobshites on the road. Not knowing how to use a mirror, not knowing how to use an indicator, on the phone, not looking around. Absolute muppets.
I agree with you. It's everybody else that's to blame. It's not us. Ian is from automaticlessons.ie. Ian, you're very welcome along to 98FM. How are things?
How you getting on, Jerry?
You tried to teach your students patience.
Well, I wouldn't want Betty behind me anyway.
I wouldn't want Betty anywhere, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Well, obviously, we try to keep it with everybody else, but one thing that really wrecks my head is people who drive too slow on the motorway.
Yes, that just causes frustration.
You can't do 100 in the fast lane, even if you're in the middle lane, hogging the lane, you can't move over, and you do everything you can to get people to move over. Most of them they will. Now, I don't obviously... tailgate people, but at the end of the day, some people just think that the speed limit is 100. Fair enough, it's 100, but don't do it in the far lane. I've been on the radio before on numerous occasions saying this, that please don't go on the motorway if you're not going to do 100. Don't be doing 60 or 80, even if you're in the slow lane, because it does impact other traffic.
Yeah, so Bessie, if you're on the motorway, it's a 100 kilometre speed limit and they're doing 50, you're going to get annoyed, aren't you?
Oh, very, very annoyed. And like that, they think they own the lane, they won't move out of it.
So what do you do when they won't move out of the lane?
Well, I kind of, if I can pull out and pass them out, and I kind of just give them a look, but wouldn't really do anything else.
Okay, so you've never actually got out of the car, have you, Betty?
No.
So, Ian, is it possible to teach motorists to have patience? I suppose it isn't, is it? Because if you're that way inclined, you either have patience or you don't have patience.
Well, obviously we should, but if I'm on the own in the car, I'd be on the left. It could be with the people saying somebody's waiting for a filter when the light is clearly green. Like we have a very an important saying as instructors is green means go. So people are waiting for a filter. And the filter was, like a few days ago, it was behind somebody turning right in the Singles Village, I think it was. The filter was on and they still weren't going. So then we missed it. And then the light went green. And there was nothing coming. And then they waited for the filter. They missed it already, so I beeped the horn a couple of times, I flashed the lights at them. It's clearly either, the older driver generally are waiting for the filter, or sometimes, can happen to all of us, but some people just blocking the traffic. You don't know the rules of the road. Please don't drive if you don't know the rules. You're going to block everybody.
I agree with you. And
even as an instructor, green means go. People wait for a filter. You'll fail your test, blocks traffic, and you're sitting there like, hello.
And annoys Betty as well. Thanks very much, Ian. Let me go to one last call on this, and it is Connor. Because, Connor, this is an issue for your age as well, is the not going fast enough on the motorway.
Yeah, people going on the motorway, overtaking it, holding up the whole motorway, basically.
Driving in the overtaking lane when they shouldn't be driving in it, going 70. Now, we're not saying that people should speed, but the motorway, generally the M50 for most parts is 100 kilometres and 120 in some parts of it. And
the M1 mainly, yeah.
Do you drive for a living, Connor?
Yeah, I drive Tesco, doing deliveries for Tesco.
Oh, okay. So you're on the road constantly, and do you shout at people?
Oh, definitely. You're going mad.
Because you have a schedule.
My girlfriend does be going mad at me.
You have a schedule to keep. You have to get that food there on the time you're supposed to get it at.
100%.
And idiots blocking the road.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So if you're moaning the next time when your Tesco delivery is late, now in fairness, mine never is, but it's because people are getting in the way of his car. Let me listen to this WhatsApp voice note. If I press the button, come on, fat fingers.
Jeremy, what person in their right mind wants to do 100? What if you have a blowout or something? Do you know what I mean? Or a car suddenly stops in front of you. I don't want to be doing 100, and I don't want anybody telling me I shouldn't be on it if I'm only doing 60. No way. Oh. I'd rather get there safe and sound. Thank you. Bye.
I think that was a dig at you, Betty.
It probably was.
No, probably about it.
I hope she's not in front of me doing 60. I mean, you can't go around thinking that you're going to get a blowout or this could happen or that could happen. She'd never get into your car then.
You're like super gran, you know that, Betty. You're not to be messed with. You're great, you are.
Absolutely.
Don't mess with Betty. By the way, Betty, what car do you drive, just so I can avoid it? What colour car?
A Hyundai Tucson.
A Hyundai Coupe, what colour?
No, a Hyundai Tucson.
Oh, Tucson. I thought you said Coupe. What colour is the Hyundai Tucson?
White.
Okay, so avoid a white Hyundai Tucson because Mad Betty will be driving it and she'll scream you off the road. Thank you very much for all your calls, your comments and your texts. That'll be an interesting conversation. But just to be aware, as you heard the recording from my young fella, just be aware that if you're in the car and you're acting out your road rage and your kids are in the back, they are listening to every single thing you say. So just bear that in mind. That has been Dublin Talks for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If there's something you want brought up on tomorrow morning's show, which is Wednesday, we're midweek tomorrow, contact us on Facebook, facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Andy Clark is up next with some great tunes, including these.
.98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less. 98 FM.